All right, yeah, it's live. What's up, everyone? Nick Atkin here. Another One Championship podcast. It is Wednesday, July 24th. Another big day ahead of us, or behind us. I'm in Hong Kong, so it's nighttime here. Big news day in the World of One Championship. Well, a lot of stuff to talk about. I think I'm going to be joined by my buddy, my colleague Kyle Dimond soon. But yes, there's a lot to talk about. None bigger than the return of Takeru Segawa to One Championship. Official fight date confirmed. That is what we were talking about yesterday's show. As I said, it would be Takeru is back in September 27th. One Friday Fights 81 tentpole quarterly pay per view. That's a bit of a mouthful. Yeah, basically the next big One Friday Fight show. Takeru is back. The opponent is not officially confirmed yet. I think I do know who it is. I mean, I do know who it is. I cannot report it at the moment, but we won't talk about that. But we'll talk about Takeru's return and more. Plenty of other news happening as well in the world of One Championship today. Some updates for you on Reinier de Ridder, who is booked to compete on UAE Warriors 51 this weekend. Of course, the former One Championship middleweight and light heavyweight MMA champion. What contract breach? He is going ahead with this. A lot of people wondering, yeah, what's the situation with RDR? Is he still under contract with one? I mean, it looks like he doesn't think he is. He is going to go fight in Abu Dhabi on 27th this month, so Saturday. We'll unpack all of that. Some more news as well. An update, injury or illness update, shall we say, on Thongpoon, who withdrew from his fight with Alif on next week's Fight Night 24 card. Plus, Ilias Ennahachi as well. Another comeback penciled in for One Championship. Another former champion, flyweight kickboxing champ Ennahachi, will be returning to One Championship. All that and more in this show. I hope everyone's doing good. Drop us a message. As always, drop us a question if you have anything, any comments. Please do feel free to get involved. Vegan Crane, always good to see you. Or is it just vegan now? Took the crane out of the name. Chester, my guy, Josh, how is it, sir? Good morning to you over on the other side of the world in Canada. Something to bring up to that I was right yesterday, and there was another MMA fight earlier. Yes, you were. I kind of dismissed you, didn't I, sir? That you were seeing things, but you were right, and then I tweeted about it straight after the show. Sorry, so I'll address that as well. Maybe I'll do that now. It is Denver 168. Hiroba Minowa versus Zansha Sakirov. Did I get that right? Okay, I think I said the guy's name wrong. Sorry. Yeah, Zakharov. Let me share this on screen so y'all can see. Okay. Yeah, so another MMA fight added to the card. It looks like Denver's pretty much full now, I would imagine. Yeah, Hiroba Minowa. I know I tweeted this. I know some people who want it very high on Zakharov and think he could be a future strawweight MMA champion. Makes sense. They are showcasing him in the US after 3 wins and 2 finishes on Friday fights. Zakharov 10-0. They call him the Tornado. Interestingly, a certain monkey god, Jared Brooks, replied on this earlier, saying this is a huge spit in the face. They will use Zakharov. So Jared Brooks unhappy. I think that he's not booked on this show. I understand his frustrations. An American champion in One Championship, not on Denver, not on Atlanta. Wasn't on Denver last year either. He is fighting soon, next week, of course, but that's in Bangkok. I think he's unhappy that he is not on this card, but 2 people in his division will be. Both not from America. What do you think? But yes, that is the news. Matthew Griffith here, saying Zakirov is very skilled and I think he has a good shot at being champ one day. However, he's certainly another candidate for a Sherdog article about potential fight padding. Well, there it is. But yes, Josh, you were right. I'm sorry I didn't. Sorry, I doubted you at all. Yeah. So we have one more fight on Denver. And I did actually, I can't really officially say it, but I've heard of another fight for Denver today. So I think that card is now fully booked. Slightly strange fight, but I think some people will enjoy it. But yes, we'll get into all that. Nicola, what's up? Good to see you again. Saying, on vacation from work and finally enjoy this live at home and not in my cubicle at work. Well, that's great. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having a good vacation. Let us know where you are. Where in the world are you? And I hope you're enjoying yourself somewhere sunny on a beach with the Sportskeeda live stream going. I love to hear the dedication. Andrew Hunt. One has the craziest contracts in the game, so it'd be pretty funny, but it turns out fighters could just ignore them. This would be about De Ridder, I imagine. Vegan saying Takeru versus Tension. It is not that. That is not the fight. Someone asking here, sorry, I will not be able to pronounce their name. When is the Japan event? It is not happening anytime soon. September is not going to happen. So I would hazard a guess Japan would be January again, as it was last year. Because you got two big events in America, September and November. You've got a big tent pole in end of September as well. You could have a big tent pole in December. So I think they won't be stacking anything in December as well. I think January is your best bet for Japan. I wanted to see Takeru versus Rodtang. Takeru will win. I think that is still the plan to do Takeru versus Rodtang in Japan, whatever it is in January. Presuming Takeru wins this upcoming fight in September and Rodtang wins his upcoming fight in November against Jacob Smith, the fight that all of you were so happy about yesterday. Oh, Kyle, I thought I sent you a link. Sorry. Our message failed to send. I did send it in my defense, Kyle, but it didn't send properly. I don't know why. You should have it now. So Kyle's gonna join me. My bad. I sent it from my phone, Kyle. Sorry. There's a storm. There's a typhoon is closing in on Hong Kong. It's currently hitting Taiwan pretty bad, but we're feeling some effects here, playing havoc a little bit with the Wi-Fi. So I'm hoping it doesn't affect the stream. But if it does, Kyle Dimond will be here to help you guys through the rest of the show. I hope. So yeah, please tell me you got the link now. It says it's been sent. So hopefully Kyle will be joining soon. Anonymous says, I would love for the matchmakers to explain themselves someday. I don't know which fight this is about in particular. Vegan also wants to see Tension versus Rodtang too. Probably not in one championship. Staycation in Canada. Okay, Nicola. That still sounds good. I know to Canada. I'm sure it's great. All right, here is Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Sorry about that.
That's all right, man. How's it going?
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't check. I just pressed send on that thing and thought it would land, but it did not.
That's okay. I've like only just checked the time and I was like, wait a minute, I should probably see what's happening with this show. It's live. So
yeah, I just went ahead without you. I figured you were running late, but you weren't. You were waiting for me. Like I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. How are you doing? I haven't spoken to you for a bit. What's going on?
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while since we've done a Wednesday gang episode. But yeah, no, everything's good.
Gang's all here. Well, let's dive in then. The main topic of this show, as the thumbnail shows, is the return of Takeru to one championship. September 27th, Friday Fights 81, tentpole, pay-per-view. Immediate thoughts, Kyle, what are you thinking?
I think this kind of got mentioned a little bit on the one you did yesterday. A little bit about, it seems a bit of a waste maybe of Takeru to have him on a Lumpini show, but I also think um this was never the plan. So the Japan card obviously isn't happening, and I think that it's better to keep him busy rather than to make him wait until they go back to Japan, which who knows when that will be, probably next year, if anything. So I think I'm glad to see that he's going to get a fight regardless. And I mean, we've spoken about in the past these kind of quarterly pay-per-view shows for the Friday fights. I mean, if you want to get people to pay the pay-per-view for it, putting Takeru on it is a pretty good way to do it. So I'm sure that this one will probably perform pretty well for them. And like I said, I'm happy that Takeru gets to stay busy if that's what he wants to do. So
There we go. Ego Kind says, "Hello, boys. Can you delay the important stuff for another 10 minutes? I have to drive home from work." I'll try, Ego Kind. I'll try, but it's all important. The whole hour of power here. So I'm sure we'll still be whatever we're talking about. It's going to be interesting. I hope by the time you get home. Yeah, my thoughts on it is just a great point about the pay per view side of it. Takeru will drive, I think, pay per view buys. Depends on the fight. Do you think? I do know what the fight is. But yeah, I was saying earlier, I can't really talk about it, but I'm not sure. It's. Some people are going to love it. I think some people are going to hate it. It's not Rodtang, you know what I mean? So is that an automatic letdown for you, Kyle? If it's not the fight that we've been thinking of for a while.
yeah, it kind of it isn't. It isn't. I have the same feeling on it as I do the idea of him fighting on a Friday Fights card. It's obviously not ideal, and I don't think this wasn't ever going to be the plan. The reason that Rodtang had that fight with Dennis Purich wasn't to set up Rodtang to defend the flyweight Muay Thai title against Jacob Smith in a rematch. Like this was always the plan, to head to Rodtang and Takeru. That can't happen. So yeah, it's not ideal. I'm happy he's fighting instead of not fighting. And yeah, I just think, I mean, the problem is if you give him one of the really top guys, does that then damage him versus Rodtang, which of course is already, you could say, kind of damaged in some people's opinion because he lost to Superlek. I don't know if there's really that much stock you can put in that, because everyone knows how good Superlek is. It's not like he lost a fight that he was a big favorite in or anything like that. But I think we will get to see the Rodtang Takeru fight, and then this one will kind of play its part in helping that to happen at a later date. And like I said, I'm happy that if he wants to fight, he's getting a fight, even if it's not the fight that we all want to see, and we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that one.
Yeah, I do feel perhaps he's asked for something, even if it's not Rodtang. He probably wants to stay active. I think he's 33 years old. Let me double check that. I hate to get that wrong. He looks like he's 25, but yeah, 32 years old. He'll be turning 33 in 2 days, or in 5 days, sorry. That was remarkably accurate from me. Yes, I think he probably just wants to stay busy. He's maybe thinks, oh, well, if Rodtang's going to fight in November, I'm not going to get Rodtang until January, the earliest, maybe February, March, who knows? It makes sense, doesn't it? I'm imagining, Kyle, it's kickboxing, but can you see some crazy world where perhaps he's been forced to do a Muay Thai fight or something mad on because it's Lumpini?
I mean, that would be crazy. I mean, I'd be excited to see it. I feel like Takeru either has something in his contract, or at least has enough of a stature to be able to put his foot down and say, I'm a kickboxer. I know that a lot of the guys in this promotion like to flip back and forth. I'm a kickboxer. That's what I'm going to do. So I feel like he would have enough of a authority to be able to say, I don't need to fight that badly. I'll wait. So I'd be shocked if it happened. But
Chatri said in Japan when he lost to Superlek, Takeru wanted to do a Muay Thai fight. So I'm not putting it past him, but I'd be surprised if he went in against someone very high caliber, So knowing the name it is, I'm not sure if it'd be Muay Thai. So I feel it'll be a kickboxing fight. I don't know officially if it's kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, mixed rules. I've just heard a name. Yeah, I think I have a feeling it'll be kickboxing. So, and if you're Takeru, you probably call the shots, right?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I guess in that logic, it would make sense in some way that if he does want to do a Muay Thai fight before ending his career, he's basically waiting for Rodtang at this point. So maybe now is the best time to do it. And it made me laugh because you mentioned mixed rules, and I hadn't considered that to be a possibility. How angry people would be if they
Yeah,
bring back Takeru in
submission
Lumpini and
grappling. Yeah,
have him, I don't know, fight John Lineker or something like just
Takeru
something
versus
crazy.
Mikey Musumeci. Why
Yeah.
not? Takeru will never fight Muay Thai. Would bet 350,000 baht on it. Says Andrew Hunt. There we go. When is Ongla fighting Flaming Mo? Denver, 168, September 5th. Don't miss it. Against Shamil Erdogan in the middleweight division that has been departed by Reinier de Ridder. What a segue that was to this comment from Anonymous. So, what happens if de Ridder fights? Does one sue him or the promotion? Does one have the finances to bully UAE? Can one enforce their law internationally? I have no clue, Kyle, what happens here. What's your take on this whole situation?
I'm super shocked because it felt like since that news came out that there wasn't a whole lot being said or even just anything really being heard ever since that initial part of news. So I thought, okay, maybe this is just going to go quietly, away and you won't see him fight and stuff. And then I checked Topology when I woke up today to see whether it was still listed as being on the card, and it is. And then I saw the photo that you posted from RDR's Instagram of him being there, and then I was like, wait, this might actually happen. And I have no idea what the steps are after this because it seems like it's going ahead, and I don't know what happens after there. I assume that RDR and his management are confident that they have means to go ahead with this. Otherwise, it would be a very strange decision to make. I kind of didn't. I just didn't think it would materialize ever since. That you were reported that he's still under contract. I just thought that would be the end of it, and we probably wouldn't ever hear about it again. It wouldn't get addressed, and yeah, but here we are. It might actually happen. I mean, I'm gonna be tuning in Saturday on UFC Fight Pass. Let me tell you.
Oh, what a plug for the UFC Fight Pass from Kyle. I didn't know it's I've never really watched UAE Warriors UAE Warriors at all. I have no clue about it. Is it any good? What's the level like?
It's pretty good. It tends to be, I would say, around that kind of level of promotion where the top guys, once they win a title and get a couple of title defenses, maybe they look at going elsewhere to a UFC or perhaps like a PFL or something like that now. But like in terms of bringing through prospects and stuff like that, yeah, very very good.
Flaming Mo says maybe Takara should fight Jacob Smith. He seems to be the hot property in the division. A lot of banter flying around about Jacob Smith. Well, you weren't on the show yesterday, so thoughts on that, Kyle? Rodtang getting that fight, or Jacob Smith getting that fight, shall we say? I tried to present both sides of it, and in a way that, but a lot of people are just criticizing it. And do you understand? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think I did a video on this on my channel. I think I basically kind of took the same approach to you as kind of playing both sides, and then after I recorded it and I saw a bunch of the reactions, and I thought maybe I wasn't critical enough of it, but I think that's because I'm not really surprised. Like the a little bit like with the Tabarez fight last time. I mean, this is a title defense, so a little bit different, but the attraction here is that they want Rodtang to be on the card, and I think that the majority of people, like, if you're one of the people that is saying, I want to see Rodtang fight better opponents, you're invested enough to the point where you're probably going to buy a ticket for this card anyway because you want to see the other fights. for the people who haven't bought a ticket, who maybe don't follow one super closely, they go, "Oh, Rodtang's on the card, brilliant! You know, I get to go and watch him as well as everything else they've already put on." So I personally just, I don't know, it didn't surprise me, and maybe that's why I wasn't outraged by the matchup. Like I said, I think that the more important thing here is that they wanted Rodtang on the card, and the opponent was kind of a secondary choice. And it's an opponent he's beaten before and will probably put on a good show against. And that, I feel like, is the point of them putting this fight together, which I understand why people are. I'm not saying that that's a good enough reason to book a fight, right? But, you know, that these US cards do tend to have a couple of these more kind of showcase matchups on them.
And a lot of people are pissed about this. Yes, I didn't think the reaction would be that bad. When I heard about it, I think I heard about it on Friday, something like that, late last week. I thought, yeah, it's probably gonna not go down too well. But I think people will still be excited about Rodtang's on the card. But the backlash has been pretty visceral. I think almost everyone is unhappy at this fight. Do you think that could take away some shine from the event, or I take your point, yeah, that I think it's more about getting people in the arena, right?
Yeah, it's I feel like it damages Rodtang's reputation, which I think is a little bit harsh. Like, I think you said this yesterday as well. It's not him that is calling to fight Jacob Smith in a rematch to defend his title. And I think, especially after the Puric fight, where it kind of felt like he won back a lot of people, with not only the fight delivering and reminding people just how exciting he is when he does fight, and the post-fight interview about the criticism he's faced and stuff like that. So then to get this one next, like if we had gone from that fight into Takeru, which again can't happen, but if that had happened, then I feel like everyone would have been like, okay, we're getting the Rodtang that we want to see, and everyone's on board and stuff. It just feels a little bit like, yeah, we're back to doing this with Rodtang, where he's getting criticized, and Jacob Smith getting criticized as well. Which, I mean, no one is going to turn down the opportunity to fight Rodtang over
Yeah.
5 rounds in America, especially when they didn't win their last fight. I know that Jacob thinks that he beat Puric and it was a close fight. So, but yeah, it's a crazy situation. I find it frustrating because both of those guys are going to get a lot of negative criticism. But again, the negative criticism is coming from people who are either going to watch the card or buy a ticket, regardless of if Rodtang is on that card. Probably the people who are now going to go, "Oh, Rodtang's on the card," they're probably not that bothered that he's fighting a guy that he already beat convincingly 2 years ago. You know,
They probably don't even know, or probably,
yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, good point. What is Jacob Smith supposed to do? Is he supposed to say, you know what, I will turn down this title fight where I'm probably getting more money than I normally do, and could potentially get 5 times my normal purse if I win the fight. Oh, and also Rodtang tends to miss weight a lot, and he's making 10 million baht for a title defense. So perhaps I might be able to sneak off with some of that purse too, even if I don't win. Yeah, great opportunity for Jacob Smith, and nice guy. I do like him, and I was saying yesterday, I think he's worked hard to get back from where he was after that first Rodtang fight. I think he's hungry to prove how much he's improved. So let's see. It's up to him to get in that ring and show everyone that this fight is not a ridiculous thing to have made on the matchmaker's part. Is my mic okay? My wire's going a bit crazy.
Yeah, I could
Okay.
hear the wire going a little bit crazy, but it's
Yeah.
fine, like all the time.
Okay. I need to get a new wire. This thing is about 5 years old. Seen a few podcasts, Kyle. Yeah. Anonymous says, I don't blame Jacob Smith for this. This is all on Rodtang and one. Do you think? Yeah, I think you said this isn't up to Rodtang, but do you feel he perhaps, putting tinfoil hats on, did maybe he say, "Hey guys, and his manager, yes, perhaps I could have a nice, favorable matchup. I don't really feel like fighting Kong Torani or some of these guys, Dead Wang Leg, Lacrobe. We were talking about yesterday. I don't want one of these challengers who are racking up the wins on Friday fights. I want a guy I know I can beat so I can have an easy payday. Do you think there's any validity in that?
There is, I think, to some degree, maybe because of some of Rodtang's actions, in terms of him being pretty open about not training super hard for some of his recent fights. Like I remember Dennis, after they had their fight at the start of June, Dennis was saying about how, you know, Rodtang could be one of the greats if he was fighting the very top guys, and that's kind of why he was critical of Rodtang before they fought. Like that, maybe I think you can put some blame on him for that. I just don't think he doesn't seem that bothered about going down as one of the greats and this kind of legacy thing. He's going to get paid the same for fighting Takeru as he is fighting Jacob Smith, maybe a little bit different pay-per-view and things like that. But I think he isn't necessarily to blame for Jacob Smith getting the fight, but he's also not going to turn down Jacob Smith and say, no, give me someone tougher at the same time, which I don't think, you know, when you're getting paid that much, I don't think there's many people that would say, no, give me a harder opponent. So it's a tough one to kind of level, I suppose.
Rodtang's manager, John Cale, says taking 30% cut for managerial and gym fees. But you got to factor in Rodtang has to give half his purse to his in-laws as well, it seems, every time he fights now. He takes over a wad of cash to Ada's parents. So, yeah, maybe Rodtang doesn't want some hard fights because he wants to bang out a few more quick and easy fights just so he can pay everyone off he needs to pay money to. I don't know. I think you're right, Carl, yes. Why would you demand to have constantly tough fights when you know you lose your purse, right? If you lose your belt, you're not going to get 10 million baht per fight. So why would he be desperate to take on these tough challenges each time and prove himself when he may go back down to whatever he was on before? He's on about 300,000 US now. Maybe he goes down to 50,000 if he loses the title. Do you see Rodtang's mindset, Kyle? Why he wants to keep hold of that money? When you get a taste of that sweet life, you never want to go back, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's a tough thing, but there are fighters that will come through and will dream of, you know, being considered the greatest of their era and stuff like that. But a lot of people get into martial arts to make money, and that is what they do. Rodtang is a professional fighter that, you know, he's a prize fighter at the end of the day, and he's spoken a lot about wanting to fight Takeru. So I don't necessarily think it's that he doesn't want tough fights, but as I said, if you're being offered easier fights rather than the tougher ones, I don't know how many people are going to come back and say, I already beat Jacob Smith 2 years ago. And maybe, you know, if he wasn't getting paid great for it, he doesn't want to retread those steps, but he is. And he's getting to be the co-main event in Atlanta. Like, it's kind of I don't know why anyone would turn that down, really, unless, you know, there was another option that was even better. But this is the option they've given him. And I don't know why you wouldn't take it.
All right. Get some more comments here. Anonymous Unhappy again saying, set up good fights, promote both fighters, and people will come. Stop forcing can crush fights for all the stars. Thoughts on that, Kyle? Do you think one is guilty of this?
To some degree, yeah. I do think it's tough. The Broomfield card last year, you know, the matchups. I mean, a lot has been made of Rodtang and Edgar Tabares.
Is that a motorbike going by outside?
Yeah, it's so warm right now, so the window is ever so
Window's
slightly open,
Okay,
and I live right by a really crazy road. So yeah.
All right. Carry on. Sorry, interrupt you there.
That's okay.
Didn't mean to.
You know, yeah. I mean, last year I think Stamp had a fairly winnable fight against Elise Anderson, and Rodtang with Tabares both put on great performances and got finishes and looked great and got crazy receptions from the crowd. I agree that, yeah, if you just put on the best fights possible, then yeah, people will show up for that. But again, as I mentioned, I also think that there is a big part of this Rodtang fight in particular being put on this card is that people just want to see Rodtang. They'll go, okay, if I'm buying a one championship ticket, if I'm going to choose to go to one championship over going to the UFC, PFL, whatever, I want to see Rodtang. He's the main guy, and especially if Stamp isn't going to be on this card. I know obviously Denver looks incredibly unlikely. Atlanta, I don't know. I would imagine that's probably unlikely as well. You want to see Rodtang. If you're going to choose that event over anything else, you want to see Rodtang. And like you said, I don't think a lot of people who are going to be going are particularly bothered that he already beat Jacob Smith a few years ago. So I can see the argument for both sides. I do think they could do it a bit better, but it's case by case, I suppose.
Speaking of Edgar Tabares, you mentioned him. Another segue here to John KL's comment. Huge miss by one not booking Rodtang and Edgar Tabares in the US. Tabares is huge in that part of the world. We've already seen it, Kyle. I don't think we could handle seeing the rematch. I'm not ready for that seismic clash. Right. Most Americans who know what one is only know Rodtang as the guy DJ choked out in an Instagram clip, Anonymous says. I see the point there. I feel like Rodtang, he's popular, isn't it? But it's kind of all from social media. Are these fans hardcore one fan? Are they tuning in to the shows that Rodtang's not on? You know what I mean? How does one convert these fans? Is it by giving him an easy win in the US, or is it by not saying it's going to be an easy win, but if they think, oh yes, let's give him a preferable opponent, we're going to make these fans come back and watch all our shows. Would it be better, Carl, if you had a Rodtang versus Superlek fight? And would that maybe convince people to tune into the product more often, the way Joe Rogan was raving about it the first time when that fight was on? And it seemed the whole combat sports world was talking about one championship for this brief moment when Rodtang and Superlek had this incredible fight last September.
Yeah, I think definitely in terms of like when the event airs, that would definitely pick up more interest. I don't know whether in terms of ticket sales, how many more people are going to go. I want to buy a ticket to see Rodtang, but I'm kind of on the fence. Oh, he's fighting another one of the best in the world. Like, I think, like you said, with Rodtang being such a being the big name in the US because of social media, the people that do know him who maybe don't follow one championship like super closely, they know him as a star because they've seen clips of him taunting people and smashing people. So they want to see Rodtang, a little bit like with the Tabares fight. They want to see him play the hits. They want to see him do the taunting, catch a kick and throw a crazy combination and all of that stuff. And so I don't think, that it's going to be as big a selling point for them as like, okay, Rodtang's going to be in this 5-round back and forth clash between this other guy who everyone thinks is the best. I think people want to, they know Rodtang as this guy who, for a lot of people, they'll assume he's the best in the world and he just smashes everybody. So if he goes in there and comprehensively beats Jacob Smith for 5 rounds, they'll be like, yeah, that's the guy that I've seen on social media. That's what I came to see.
All right. Yes, as Combat Sports Today says, the MMA Hour was even talking about Rodtang and Superlek when it happened. It was a big deal. John KL says, is it just me or does Kyle look like a young Elon Musk with hair, though?
I get
know.
that. I've
Really?
got that a fair few times, yeah.
Okay. A good thing? Bad thing?
I don't know. Elon Musk seems to fluctuate like his physical condition every like 2 months. So I'll take Elon Musk when Elon's on a good day. I'll take that.
Flaming Mo. Nick, how are you allowing Kyle to throw shade at Edgar Tabares? Yeah, we don't. No slander of Edgar here, guys. Come on. Absolutely. Superlek isn't getting it easy unless it's a last minute replacement, Chester says. Just seems like some of the stars are getting gimme fights. Right, yeah, I did see just before I logged on, Chatri was doing a Facebook Live. So thank you, Just a Dream in Water, for bringing this up. I haven't seen any of the live and I cannot understand Thai, so it wouldn't even be worth me watching it. But you've clarified a nice point here. Chatri said Jacob was set to fight. Sorry, he says why Jacob has got the Rodtang fights because they initially matched Dennis Puric against Rodtang for the title, but Puric declined. He said Puric said his visa is not eligible to go through U.S. customs. Yet I did chat very briefly with Dennis Puric when I heard the fight had been made, and he did say to me, yes, he was offered the fight, but he couldn't do it, and I can't remember what the reason was. It was something like he wasn't available. think he's in Europe at the time or something, doing some seminars. I think he told me. So I don't know. Yeah, if either is wrong or right of these reasons, but would you have preferred to see that Kyle Dennis Purge title fight? Do you feel that would be a bit easier to accept for fans, given Purge kind of put on an entertaining fight with Rodtang in June, went toe to toe with him, and it was kickboxing as well. So yeah, perhaps we could do a Muay Thai title fight. Why not? Do you think that would be acceptable?
I think like there would still probably be people I think that would maybe have an issue with it, considering he beat him like not even 2 months ago, in terms of the announcement coming out. But I do think that Dennis proved enough in that fight to show why he should have got a title shot rather than a 3-round kickboxing fight. Of course, he got the kickboxing fight because the Takeru fight was on the horizon. But if the Takeru fight can't happen, then I think that Dennis did enough to prove why he should get a title shot, and it would be that it would be an incredible fight, even if there wouldn't be probably as much criticism after they seem to have become best friends since that first fight. But it would be I'd be really, really excited to see that one again, just because of how that last fight went.
Yeah, I think you nail on the head. I think Dennis would have been a more deserving candidate, perhaps, and it still wouldn't have been perfect. I think he should have got that title fight in the first place. I just don't know who else you match up Rodtang with, other than the people we talked about yesterday. But would you think one would really pull the trigger on having him fight some of these guys from Friday fights? I just don't think they would. And anyway, perhaps we're dwelling too long on this. Yes, the Facebook Live is on One Thailand's Facebook page, so go check it out. If anyone speaks Thai and wants to tell us what else Chatru said, that'd be cool. Otherwise, I'll see what Ichi tweets. My guy Ichi, he normally does a breakdown of them all. I'm just checking now. He's done it already, and I could steal it, but no, he hasn't. Come on, Ichi. No, I'll wait. Yes, that is the big news. I'll look through the rest of my news I was going to discuss. Get your thoughts on perhaps this happened yesterday or recently. We found out that Thongpoon is out, Kyle, from his fight with Alif, and now Zakaria El Jamari is in. People were asking on the show yesterday what's happened with Thongpoon, and some people were messaging me privately saying, "Do you know what's happened with Thongpoon?" I said, "I have no idea." Well, here it is. He has posted a picture of himself in a wheelchair at a hospital, looking forlorn, to say the least, and a doctor's note saying patient has headache, fever, and runny nose. And Thongpoon himself said he is sick with the flu. Kyle, are you sad to see Thongpoon out of this fight?
Yeah, I was excited for this fight. I did find it, when I saw this tweet, I found it a little bit jarring. When I saw the picture of him in a wheelchair without reading the caption, I was like, oh God, what's happened? And then you look at the doctor's note that he's added, and it lists the first thing of diagnosis as common cold. And I was like, this must be a really, really, really bad cold. But I was excited to see the fight, so I'm disappointed that it's not happening. But the replacement is suitable. So I'm still looking forward to seeing Alif on this card regardless. And I hope Thongpoon recovers. I mean, it says he's been recommended sick leave for 7 days, so it shouldn't be too long before we see him back in there, I guess.
Yes, and that was on the 25th of July. Well, from the 19th to the 25th, so his sick leave will end tomorrow. Perhaps he could have made this fight. No, I don't want to advocate people fighting so soon after illness. I was thinking it must suck to have serious flu and then have to get in the ring not too long after and get fight ready. don't blame Thongpoon. I hope no one calls him soft or anything. Um, and I'm sure they can rearrange that fight down the line. So yes, this is the other news to carry. We already talked about Ilias Ennahachi this morning. I wanted to touch on this one too. Is back in one championship. We sort of knew this already, Kyle, that he had signed with the promotion. Kind of. He was competing on something called Fight 2-1 in Tenerife in June, and he won that fight last month. And now he has agreed his one championship comeback. So a bout agreement has been signed. Who do you think he should face, Kyle? I put a poll on my Instagram. I'll check the results in a minute, but I'm gonna let you play fantasy booker.
Ooh. Oh, let me have a quick look at who we've got in this division, because when I saw the initial post, I started thinking about flyweight, and then obviously saw, oh, he's going to be back at bantamweight, and then that's suddenly exciting because we can throw him in with people that we've not seen before. Petanong rings like is the first name that jumps off the page, but I don't know whether we'll see that straight away. But that would be a good one.
Yes, I was in Super Bond's camp. Sorry, his gym, Super Bond training camp after the Friday fights tentpole where Petanong beat Ramazanov, and I ran into Mr. Petanong and asked him, "Yes, would you like to fight? Who would you like to fight next?" And he said, "I don't know, no, really." And I said, "What about Ilias Ennahachi?" And he said, "Oh, that's a great idea. So maybe we can get that one going." I am looking at the poll results I ran on my Instagram with a mighty 22 responses, and 45% of people say Hiroki Akimoto. 36% of people say Petanong, and a measly 18% of people want Wei Ray against Ennahachi. So Akimoto, would you like that fight?
I do. I definitely would be happy to see that one. I personally thought that they would probably do Akimoto and Wei Ray again after how controversial that one was. I believe Chatri said that he had it for Hiroki, right? So I would imagine we'll see that. I imagine that would have been on a potential Japan card for later this year. But yeah, I think I'd rather see those two fight again and see Anahachi versus Petanong. But either, any kind of combination of those four guys, I'm happy to see either way.
Anonymous isn't having Thongpoon's wheelchair. I think he ducked. A wheelchair for mild flu is hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. Thongpoon is he's a funny guy. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's ducking anyone, but I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. Ego Kind says, "Quick, Thongpoon, go over there and take a seat in this wheelchair while no one is looking, and don't forget to look all sad." People not happy, Kyle, with Thongpoon, it seems. All right, here's some more about Chatri's Facebook Live. Just a dream in water. Thank you. Saying in the live, Chatri also said he talked with Takeru and said he wanted to try Muay Thai. There you go. He'd love to use elbows and would definitely fight in Muay Thai. Well, there we go. Vegan Crane, when is Jingnan going atomweight again? No idea what's going on with Zhang Jingnan, to be honest. She was obviously going to fight Stamp, Defend, Destroy it, MMA belt against Stamp in Denver. That is not happening, and they haven't found a replacement. The Dark Side, what's up? Says, did Ferrari duck Lobo? Sus that he's still on the card. Ferrari didn't duck. I can't really explain what happened there. I mean, I do know, but it wasn't anything Ferrari did. Right. Chester says, let's speak the mini Grand Prix into existence. First round on September. So, yeah, you were messaging me about this. You may have to explain it a bit more in detail here. Otherwise, I might get it wrong. Remind me what it was. I'm trying to find it in my messages. Put a summary in there. Sorry, George, I can't find it in my DMs. I'm flustered. Tell us what your grand plan is. Just a Dream says Ferrari didn't duck, man. One just wanted to push Nabil. That's all. Yeah, I think from what I know, maybe it was they just wanted Nabil on the card at all costs. So I think they see a lot in Nabil. Kyle, are you impressed by this guy?
Yeah, super impressed. I'm so excited for this Felipe Lobo fight. I think it's probably the one I'm the most excited to watch on that card because I mean you beat Felipe Lobo and you're right there. So it's about to get real
Yeah.
serious for Nabil. That last performance as well was so good. So yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, 100%. Dark Side saying what the over under that Ennahachi gets to fight this year. Well, this is it, Dark Side. He has signed a fight agreement, so technically, I guess it's already there. But it was, yeah. I wondered why he came back because he pissed off one, I think, when he beat Superleg through no fault of his own, and then I think one wanted to match him up badly with Superleg again, and then he kept, I wouldn't say ducking, but for one reason or another, the fight didn't happen. And eventually he got stripped of the belt, I think, or he vacated it. Maybe a 50% of each, half a dozen of one, whatever the phrase is, and then he 6 of one, half dozen the other. Got it right. And then yes, he moved up to bantamweight, vacated that belt. Superleg won that belt in January 2023, beat Daniel Puertas. Ennahachi eventually returned, but it was Kyle. It was on a random ass Friday fight show. I was there in the audience actually. I think it was in March or February that year, and he didn't get he got a second round TKO. There was no bonus, and the bonuses always fly around on Friday fights if you get anything close to a knockout. No bonus, no interview in the ring, and his fight wasn't even on the main portion of the card. He was quite low down. I felt like the vibes between the two parties. I just thought this isn't going to end well, and lo and behold, Ennahachi was gone not too long after, and then I was very surprised he come back. Are you happy to see him back, Kyle? I'm not sure if you're the biggest Ennahachi enjoyer or anything, but I think someone of his pedigree, we should be happy to have him back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that we are already talking about putting him straight in there with the likes of Akimoto and Pettenon, like he deserves to be in that mix. So I hope that whatever was kind of an issue between one and him and his team is all good, so we can see him back at the top of this mix because there's some interesting fights for him at bantamweight, and he really only needs one fight and a win to get into a title shot. So yeah, happy to have him back, and excited to see what this fight is that he signed for. Hopefully, it's a sign of things to come, and he'll be able to stay active.
Well, yeah, this was Chester's idea, and I did enjoy it when he messaged me, and I just couldn't remember it because my brain hurts right now. That you should have a little mini Grand Prix between Pettenong, Ennahachi, Akimoto, and Wei Ray starting in September. I like that. You could just have two unofficial semifinals and then a final, and then perhaps the winner can take on Haggerty whenever he decides he wants to defend that belt. Might be his only belt if he doesn't beat Superlek in Denver, so he may suddenly take more interest in it. You like the sound of that, Kyle?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a good way to keep the top contenders in the division active as well, like giving them a format so they know who they're going to be fighting and give it like a bracket. It keeps them busy whilst Haggerty is obviously defending the title against Superlek, and then you'd imagine that it would be Nico Carrillo next for the Muay Thai belt. So I think if that is the way they're going to go, it's a good way to keep all of those guys busy and in meaningful fights without giving them the title shot, because realistically, whichever guy emerges out of that is going to have to be the kickboxing contender. And I wouldn't say there's really a clear front runner out of those four just yet.
FYI, Flaming Mo points out Takeru has already fought Muay Thai before in Thailand at the start of his career. So maybe it wouldn't be so crazy. Flaming Mo also saying Haggerty should fight number 4 kickboxing contender Nong O. Oh dear. You're gonna every show I have to bring up these damn rankings to point out how ridiculous they are in some way or another. Yes, I don't know why Nong O is in this division on the official rankings. I'm gonna put it on screen. In a name and shame a division as always. This time it's bantamweight kickboxing. It's not actually a bad division anymore because look, you've got Haggerty with the belt, Wei Ray number 1, Hiroki number 2. I like this former champion there. Petnong, another former champion 3, Alaverdi, yes, and then Nong O, bantamweight kickboxing. How many kickboxing fights has? I actually want to know. I'm not even. How many times has Nongo fought in the kickboxing division in one championship? I'm just gonna tapology it now. I cannot recall. Someone help me out in the comments, but I do believe it's had a lot of Muay Thai fights. Oh, he was gonna fight Ramazanov in kickboxing in 2020. It didn't happen. Well, yeah, that just seems silly to me, Kyle. What do you think? Should Nongo be there?
No, I don't think so. But I think that's probably one of the as far as the rankings go, that is one of the better top 5 rankings, even if Nongo shouldn't be there. The other 4 that actually makes sense. So I'll take 4 out of 5.
I will, given some of the other divisions we have here. This is actually one of the stronger ones, in terms of consistent top 5 that makes sense. But as Beyond Kickboxing point out, and they would know, it is 0 times that Dongo has fought kickboxing in one championship. Okay. Well, yes. I don't know what the initial point was. I went off on a tangent there. Nabil versus Nico for unnaturally huge bantamweight fight. There's a few of these guys coming up. They're all going to end up in featherweight, I think. We were talking about that. Cameron Nabati, yes, Combat Sports Today, future champion in one. He could be, he very well could be. I think he's got Nongo next, so let's see. Beyond Kickboxing says they should sign Elbrus Osmanov just so they can have 5 names. Why not? Oh, all right. We've got about 10, maybe just under 10 minutes to go. If you have any questions, comments, please put them in. I'm running out of steam, though. I feel like we've covered all the stuff, plus rehashed everything from yesterday. No huge news broke while I was doing the show. Normally, something happens in the middle of the show. They'll break a huge fight. Anyone see anything else on Chatri's Facebook Live? Please inform us. Otherwise, Kyle, what have you got coming up in the next week or so? Anything big? You going to Manchester for UFC?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I wish I was, but as you well know, the tickets for these UFC events these days are
silly.
They are a precious commodity if you can get a hold of them. So, no,
they're precious commodity and they're expensive as hell, right?
Yeah. I decided not to. I have to cover the events live anyway from here. So it would be, it wouldn't really work out anyway. And I'm going to be staying up until 6 a.m. in the morning as per usual. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. It doesn't really feel like the UFC is actually here. But it is.
Yeah, some weird nostalgia for me because that was my first ever combat sports event. I think covering it as a media was UFC whenever they were last in Manchester for Bisping Henderson 2, 2016 October, I think it was. Yes, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And it was also, started at 3 a.m. the main card. I think press conference was something like 6 a.m. It was madness. But I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. It was a very fun experience. And it set me on this journey to where I am now, Carl, talking with you with a pot of peppermint tea about one championship. So I'm very happy I went to that. 3 a.m. is mad though. Yeah, there'll be a lot of drugs, I think, in that arena on Saturday. All right, you might already know, but Chatri said in the Q&A, the featherweight Grand Prix will be announced in a month. I just don't know because they keep kicking the can down the road, Kyle. Don't you think? They say, "Yep, Grand Prix is going to happen in June. Oh, Grand Prix is going to happen in September. Oh, then we're going to announce in September. Oh, we're going to announce." Do you think it's ever going to happen?
I've been pretty skeptical on it for quite a while. I thought that if it was going to happen, it seemed like it wasn't going to happen on either of the US shows. So I thought, okay, well, if this Japan card ends up happening in between those, maybe that kicks it off, and then you get another round in December or January or something like that. But with all of the plans kind of changing, it just didn't really seem like it would end up happening. I suppose majority of the guys that you would imagine would be in it don't have fights booked. You would imagine that maybe Tao and Shai and Joe would get in there, and obviously they're already fighting. So I thought that once they booked Tao and Shai and Joe again for Atlanta, I thought this isn't happening. If it is, it will happen next year maybe. But I assumed they would be two of the competitors, and obviously they're not going to be fighting before November, you'd imagine. So that to me signaled that it wouldn't happen.
CFR Network couldn't get a press pass for UFC. I know that feeling. It's tough. It is packed, and sometimes you don't even get a seat. You're sat in the back. No way to enjoy an event. I like this idea from Chester as well. Every Wednesday, you and Carl should have a project. Like 1 week, you can book 5 matches that need to happen this year, or fix a weight class rankings. Maybe, yeah, we'll do that next time, in case it's a slow news week. But I felt like, yeah, I was scratching my head today, thinking, what the hell are we going to talk about today? Perhaps we can do some kind of theme. But the Takeru news seemed juicy enough for me to nose the whole show on, and I think we've just about squeaked out an hour, so that was the plan. How's your Mandarin going? Not very well, if anything. I would say non-existent, actually. But I live in Hong Kong, where it's Cantonese, so that's also not going very well. Also non-existent. All right. Is it because of the Chinggis situation why one keeps pushing back the Grand Prix? I would hazard a guess that is it. Combat sports today. Kyle, final thoughts from you? Anything you want to address or throw out there?
No, I don't think so. I just as usual, really, for the next couple of weeks, I suppose. But yeah, I imagine. Are you out in Thailand for Fight Night 24 next week?
Yes. I'll be heading on Tuesday, and then I got my usual schedule. I'll have a bunch of interviews on Wednesday, pre-fight interviews for Fight Night 24, and then I'll have all the coverage you need of the weigh-ins on Thursday, face-offs Friday. May even take a trip to Lumpini Stadium on Friday night for Friday fights. Who knows? And then Saturday morning is the big one, Fight Night 24, Brooks versus Ballard. I'll be there, and I'll probably be dead tired by then. It's always a long week. Yes, I never help myself by just not getting enough sleep. Yeah, I'll be there, guys. Usual thing. Can't wait. And then for a change, it is Denver in September, and I cannot wait for that. Loved it in Denver last time. It was a great trip. I need to book my flights and hotels and things like that. I need to get on the case. Right. This is it. Signing off now. Thank you everyone for watching. Kyle, thank you for joining. And yeah, we'll catch up with you guys maybe next Monday. I'll do something before I fly out on the Tuesday. But good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We've enjoyed your presence here. Thank you for the comments, chat, and questions. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Sports Kita MMA Originals. Nick Atkin signing off.